There we go. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Fractured Space Supplemental. We have the very lovely Mr. Protagonist here with us today,
Ahoy.
and we will be talking about progression and monetization. Big
Fun, fun,
bugbears.
fun.
Oh, yes. So much fun. All right.
All the
So,
math.
let's jump right into it. Currently, the tech trees are a little bit of a mess, in my opinion. Not counting starter or premium ships, all of the manufacturers have 3 ships from tier 1 to 3, one each tier for USR and TDS, with Xerid Industries having a tier 2 and 2 tier 3s. The vast majority of the ships in the game are tier 4 or higher, with 16 of the 24 currently available ships falling tier 4 or higher. That's a lot. And
Yep.
while there's nothing innately bad with that, there's nothing at the lower levels for new players or returning players to chew on. So is that a concern for you guys?
It's, I wouldn't say it was a concern. It's not desirable, but basically the way that the tech trees are organized is with the full game, the full finished product, the finished picture in mind. And as such, the gaps that exist right now, they exist because we haven't done those ships yet, right? I mean, I guess you know that already, but we've basically slotted in the ships that we do have in the position we feel is most appropriate for them. Now, the tech trees are not in their final form, so stuff may well move around, but we've placed the existing kind of stable of ships in the place that they feel that it's most appropriate. And as it turns out, that means that there are some kind of gaps where it would be preferable to have a low tier ship available for a nice swift. I've played 5 games. Let me unlock something in every tech tree kind of an approach. But as it's turned out, that just hasn't been possible. No, it's been possible, but I guess you could call it a lack of pre-thinking on the subject, or a lack of. I think when we design a ship, we design it around function and the manufacturing question more than we do where does this fit on the tech tree. And then once it's done, historically, we've always thought about, right, well, what's the level of complexity that this thing has? Whereabouts should it sit on the tech tree in terms of it being an appropriate game experience for someone who's played that kind of level of the game. So it's not deliberate that we're missing those early ships that are easy to unlock. It's more a case that but we're running with the ships that we've got. So over time we'll fill that in. And yeah, I mean, we'd love it for players to be able to get more ships unlocked quicker. But we run with the cards that we have at the time.
Okay.
So once the game's fully developed, once it's finalized, then that should be far less of an issue.
Okay.
So it's a fair point. The short answer, yes, that's a fair comment to make. No, it isn't desirable. No, it's not intentional. But it's not something we're actively working to solve as much as we're actively working to fill out the whole of the tech tree.
Is that something you want to have filled out at least a bit better, Xerid in particular, by the time it goes free to play?
Well, I mean, the Zarek stuff is obviously the most lacking of the 3. I think you've probably seen what's it called, the super lifter, the load lift, the lifty lifter. Yeah, so I mean that's coming relatively soon. Do we want it filled out before we go free to play? We want everything ready before we go free to play. It won't be. We will go free to play before we leave early access. That's something that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, we want it done as soon as possible, but at the end of the day, things happen at the speed that they happen. Lone asked a good question a couple of weeks ago with regard to, what's the overall shape of the game? What's it going to have in it by the time you release? That's not what what we're going to have by the time we release is a compelling 5v5 competitive game in capital ships. And we will know what that looks like when we've built it. We've got a good idea, and the on-deck posts give a good lead towards the features we believe are going to lead to that goal. But as part of the agile development and sprints system that we use to develop the game, it gives us the freedom to kind of swerve around and get the course right and course correct regularly as we go through the development process. It's like the changes to Proving Grounds this month. They came out as a result of the data that we got from the free weekend, where a huge number of players weren't getting to play a game in the first place. And for all the other faults that the free weekend may have had, the one thing that you did have was an easy experience as far as getting a game. You could actually get a game nice and quickly, and it was pretty well balanced. And if you were a new player, you could get a game immediately, and it was balanced in terms of player experience. So for a high percentage of players to never reach that point meant that we had to spend more of our time on the Proving Grounds in this last sprint than we would otherwise have done. And were we not doing the game through early access, we'd have never realized that. We'd have got to the end of the process and then found that all these people coming in, a huge number of them weren't making it to a game. They were getting 15, 20 minutes into the tutorial and going no further. What we have seen, because we've obviously last week we deployed the update for all of its merriment and stability. Fixes coming soon. We deployed it last week. We've looked at the data again in terms of the revised Proving Grounds, and it's better. Is it perfect? No, it's still a little bit too long. We're going to work on that too, but it is better. We're getting more people moving through the flow of the game, and that's really the strength that we have in doing an agile-based development rather than a fixed flag in the ground that a publisher has asked for that we have to drive through relentlessly. 72 maps and 450 ships and 18 different loadout options for every ship. If you don't hit that, you don't get paid. No, we can evolve our thinking as the game progresses based on what it needs. It's pretty evident that what we need right now is more Xerid ships. Now, normally, even if we were running in a kind of for an early access game, Fractured Space went very early access. It was barely started, let alone barely finished. It was a barely started game when we first did early access, and the point that we're at now is at a similar level to most games start their early access experience, in terms of the amount of content and the number of features and the kind of the overall shape of the game. We're at the point that most people are when they first let the public in. So we've still got a heck of a lot of stuff to add, and we'll get there. Xerid is lacking, and I keep yelling at Alex that Ginger Gladiator. I keep pointing out to him that everybody loves the Xerid ships more than anything else. Okay, personal preferences. Everybody loves the Xerid ships as much as they love the others. There are fans of each type of ship. When are we going to see some more? So, yeah, he knows, and we'll get there. So it's a woolly answer, I'm afraid, Jiraiya, but woolly answers are, as you know, my speciality.
So is the plan still to shoot for the 33 ships?
33 is the number that we've gone for. At which point, once we kind of, I don't know if that number's gone up. I don't know if it's got. I'm certainly don't believe it's gone down. But I think once we hit that stage, and I'm speculating here based on how well I know the team, but there's a chance that we'll see a reshuffle of ships in the order and when they're unlocked and so forth, if and when we hit the 33 mark. But the rate of kind of 2 ships per update, I imagine we're probably going to be around that average. So where are we now? 26, 27, something 26. Like that?
Or 24. 24, excuse me.
24,
does
yes,
that count the Basilisk and
Guardian? Yes, that does count the Basilisk and the Guardian.
Right, so we've got another, 9 to go, in theory. So you're looking at probably 5-6 months, and then we'll have all the ships in.
Okay.
Obviously we still have to work out what the hell is a carrier. What's it for? Because that's the most significant thing holding carriers back is gameplay purpose. We've had so many different discussions about what they could be used for. Here's my own personal take, right? This is in no way an indication of what's going to turn up, but what I would quite like to see is that the carrier was a mobile command and control unit, right? So that you could, within its sphere of influence, you could get your upgrades there. You can get automatically repaired within the radius of a carrier. But it is fundamentally incredibly slow and has defenses rather than offensive capabilities, but is there as a major support unit for your team. I think largely because that would open up, different gameplay modes and stuff. But as much as, everybody in the studio listens to every idea that anybody throws out, Jim is the man who makes the decisions. He will have an idea up there that he runs with. But I think a command and control ship could be quite good fun. But that's just me.
Absolutely. I personally agree. I would love to see some larger support ships. I mean, the smaller healer type stuff is fine, but there's plenty of room for bigger stuff.
Equally, not everything has to be good in combat, in my opinion. I think there's a market for people who would quite like to play a ship that at the first sign of danger would run away. But there you go. But anybody, and that's the other thing, is that you can ask any three people in the studio what they think a carrier should be, and you'll get three different answers. And you can say that about different game modes potentially, or different ships that are introduced. You'll get opinions all over the place. That's the easy bit. The difficult bit is actually kind of curating those opinions and getting the one that actually works best in the ecosystem of the game that we already have, in the gameplay that we already have. And that's why Big Jim makes all the decisions.
Well, he certainly got
that way you have a
display.
singularity of vision. You see that way you have one person who has in their head, as much as we've got a reasonably good picture of what the game's going to be, nobody has as clear a picture as Jim does. In his head, he sees the game. And to a kind of secondary extent, Jamie as well, because Jamie's lead designer, Jim is creative director. And between the two of them, they've got a very particular vision about what the game is. And they're looking at it from the perspective of 12, 18 months' time, when all the pieces have kind of come together. So there's a certain amount of trust that goes into, they're taking us the right way. We just have to wait for that to, fully brew.
Awesome. It'd be very nice to hear what that grand vision is someday.
But that's just it. I can't give you. It's an instinctive vision, right? It's so you've seen the feature set that we've got planned, but the goal is the incredibly flabby sentence of compelling, exciting, competitive 5 versus 5 game played in capital ships. That's the vision, right? And it's the words compelling and exciting and competitive. That's what we'll know we've hit. Is it's a game with capital ships. Bingo, tick that box. We've got it, right? That's what we have. Is it exciting? Has its moments. Is it exciting all the time? Yeah, there may be. Is it competitive? Yeah, can be. Is it compelling? Do you want to play the next game? Yeah, sort of. So those are the bits that we're working on, and that's where the other features come into play. Is in supporting those kind of pillar statements, those emotional statements. What we're building is the gameplay, the feature set that will support that emotional
experience,
experience, that we want to get across. And so the picture is, how does this game make me feel when I play it? And that's what we're building towards, and we're building it out of the features that we feel are going to deliver on that kind of aspiration. So yeah, it's a non-specific kind of thing, but that's why being able to course correct as we go is all important. It might end up that once drafting is stable and back in the game and everybody's using it all the time and everybody hates it. I don't just mean they want version 2 where it's a little bit better. They might just plain hate it. In which case, we have the opportunity then to kind of go, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. We need a way of picking. I don't think anybody will. I mean, drafting in its first instance is relatively straightforward, but I mean, it's just a nicer version of the drop-down list of ships, effectively. I think you need a little bit longer. Give me some feedback on this one. Do you need longer to pick your ships at the start of the game? I am saying yes, you do, because at the moment, as much as you have time to pick your ship, you don't have time to talk to the rest of your team with regard to what your team composition is going to be. Feedback on that one.
2 minutes, and then if my team is ready up, if we get the point, one of the things that bothers me is when we do actually communicate, we have the whole setup we're wanting, and then we have to sit there and wait 30 seconds. So
that's fine.
Like a ready up
if
thing,
you've
lock
already
it in
up
and go.
and your opposing team have all readied up, it should just skip to the end. That's yeah. I mean, I would totally go for that. But yeah, I mean, I think it gives you 1 minute at the moment, or is it even 30 seconds? And it just doesn't feel like you've quite got enough time to come up with a coherent plan. That said, it is a version 1. And part of this iterative process is that version 1 is a bare bones. It's about getting the tech behind the feature ready to rock, so that you can then fill that out to be a fully rewarding kind of experience.
All right then, going back to progression from the wonderful trails that we've been on.
I'm going to take you on a nice story every question that you ask, but hopefully I get the question in the process.
Oh yeah, that's why we like you so much.
Don't butter me up.
What?
Hey, neither of us are Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. He's a lovely lad, and I look forward to him someday taking over the world.
All right. So, currently, the way ships are priced, assuming 10 upgrades, which not all ships have 10 upgrades, and I'm pretty sure...
Question. Priced in terms of XP and credits, or priced in terms of platinum?
XP and credits.
Okay.
But currently, the theme is, assuming 10 upgrades, you're going to be paying about... where was my number? Double the XP for the ship originally, and about another 130% of the initial ship cost to get all those 10 upgrades. That becomes a very, very large number very, very quickly. We getting up to tier 6, 7 ships, you're around or plus 1 million credits. That takes a very, very long time. Is there any chance that we're going to see that curve change? Because right now, my motivation for going in and unlocking everything on, let's say, the Ghost right now, tier 7, my only motivation for unlocking everything on that is just going to be, I have nothing else to do, whereas with a tier 3, 4, 5 ship, I feel like I can actually chew on that a little bit over time.
You've nailed it. You've nailed the point exactly. It's all you have to do, right? And this is an answer that is going to sound very familiar when I give it again in a couple of minutes. You're looking at an incomplete picture. And I don't mean an incomplete picture in terms of progression or in terms of the tech tree or in terms of unlock prices or anything along those lines. What you're looking at an incomplete picture of is, why are you playing? Right? That's a fundamental. That's a big deal right there, is why are you playing this game? Now, we want every individual game that you play to be compelling in its own right, to be exciting in its own right. We want you to go into the game going, I'm looking forward to this particular match. That a match within itself is an exciting and tantalizing prospect, that it's fun, right? Now, we're there sometimes. Occasionally, we hit games that are an absolute delight to play. I played one yesterday that was absolutely tremendous. We got Gamma 4, and we took their base to 99%, and they beat us back when we hit 99%. That was brilliant. Of course, they didn't hold us off for very long. We got the next Gamma 4 as well, just went in and absolutely freight trained it. But that kind of moment is just brilliant. I absolutely love when you get to a game that is so, tooth and nail closely matched. Okay, so that's reason one why you'd play the game, is because you get those kinds of experiences where you get that level of excitement out of an individual game. Reason two for playing the game at the moment is the last reason for playing the game, and that is to unlock more stuff. Oh, well, that's not a reason to play 50 games in a row. Is, maybe, the game is fun sometimes, and then I'm trying to unlock this next ship despite the fact you might already have your own ship. That's not the reason people will be playing the game when it's done. In the next sprint, we're currently talking about pulling missions forward. So missions are part of the next sprint, where you're actually given objectives to achieve along the way, which could be, actually, I have no idea what it could be. Jamie keeps going, oh, missions, big deal. And I go, good, what? And he kind of goes, and I don't get any further information than that. I will have more information to deliver on this, but missions are a reason to play, right? Unlocking stuff, a reason to play. The game is fun, a reason to play. Missions, a further reason to play. The crew collection system will be another reason to play. Competitive play and ranked play will be another reason to play. The reason that at the moment the whole process of unlocking stuff feels unsatisfactory is because it's the only reason to play, right? Is that, yeah, the game's pretty good most of the time, and the game occasionally sparks into, my gosh, that's fun. But there's no other point. There's no rewards along the way. Imagine playing a game like, what's a good one? What would be a good one to choose? Let's say World of Warcraft, right? So imagine you're playing World of Warcraft. You're at you're not at max level, but once you hit max level, there is no gear to go searching for, right? You've got all the best gear in the game. Why are you still playing? You've got, friends that you might like to play with. Let's do Diablo, right? So Diablo, same idea, right? You're playing through the game. You're endlessly doing quests. There's no story. Well, that's a big chunk of the reason that you play the thing in the first place, just gone right there. And what you're experiencing right now is several big chunks of the game experience aren't there. They're just not present. When it comes to earning medals for yourself, or completing missions, or taking part in the next tournament, or increasing the rank for your team, or XYZ, or however many other things will be the reason to play. And along the way, you will be earning the experience that gets you more ships and gets you more loadouts. That you have a singular focus on earning all of this stuff to unlock those ships now is an unsatisfactory experience. It's an unsatisfying experience when you already know the ships you want. I'm sure you've seen forum posts to the same extent, but I've seen several from people that goes, so I've sunk 30 games into unlocking the destroyer only to find I hate it. Can I get that XP back again? We kind of go, well, no, sorry, but that's supposed to be. I mean, think about it. We reset the tech tree in January, and where are we now? Mid-March. So in under 2 months, you're not supposed to have unlocked everything. This is a game that is supposed to keep you occupied for months and months and months of regular play. And this isn't, yes, if you want to sink in 14 hours a day, you can unlock everything immediately if you want, or as close to immediately as you like. You within a few weeks, you'll have everything. But those aren't the players that we're building the game for. We're building the players for the players who want to get stuck in on a regular basis, to go and meet friends, have a competitive game, see how they get on in a bit of ranked, and then go, see you again next week. That's the game that we're building. It's not the game that exists right now, but that's the game that we're building. And that's the community that we're building. Is, for a World of Tanks, you might have devotees who sink in all day, every day into unlocking absolutely everything. And let's face it, amount of time you sink into our game in order to unlock everything is a fraction of the time you'll put into a World of Tanks or a World of Warships. And that's how we like it. We don't want you to be tied into the game forever and ever. Thank you very much. But equally, if we gave you everything immediately, you wouldn't get you wouldn't have the impetus to actually take the time to try and understand that ship. It might be that at the end of the day you think, well, this ship sucks, I'm terrible with it, I'm sad that I unlocked it, I wasted my XP on this, but I know now what this ship does. And if I'm facing one, I know what it can do against me. So it's a long-term vision that we have. I've got some good depth of field on my camera. There you go. Look, long-term, seeing into the future. And that's the reasoning behind the amount of time it takes to get this stuff. So will those numbers change? Will they be juggled around? To cycle back to your question, are these the final numbers you're looking at? I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably not. Are they going to get bigger or smaller? I don't know. We're pretty confident in those numbers right now, and certainly there is absolutely no plan to change them. But it doesn't mean that these are sacred, holy relics that we will never interfere with ever again. But don't view it as, do we feel that they're too high? We don't. Do we feel they're too low? There's some arguments from some people that say they think they might be too low, but there is absolutely no intention of changing them at all. Cycle back to your question again, because you've got it written down, haven't you?
Oh yes, I'm staring at it right here.
How do a repeat of the question, and let's see if I've covered it.
Yeah. So currently, assuming a ship with 10 upgrades, in order to get all of those upgrades, you're going to be paying roughly double the XP cost of the original ship and 130% of the ship's original cost in credits to get all those unlocks. And that number gets really big as you travel up in tiers, right? You're looking at a total of roughly 2.7 million credits to grind through on a tier 7 ship like the Ghost.
And why would I want to do that when I know that the Ghost is not a ship I'm that bothered about? To expand on your question,
I wouldn't even go that far. I'd ask it more of a simple: what is the justification for heavy rockets, as an example, to cost more than the Brawler and half of its loadouts, or the Colossus and every single one of its loadouts? Why are the in-game or the high-tier ships unlocked so vastly greater than even the cost of a ship?
Yeah. Good question.
Moving on.
No. I don't have an answer for you, and I suspect it's very strongly because it's a scale-based thing. I mean, these are the ships that you'll be unlocking after you've got a great deal of experience with the game. And when you unlock them, it won't be because you have single-mindedly and purposefully gone through repeated play experience with a laser focus on that ship. Might happen once in a while, but for the most part, the XP and the credits that you'll have earned will have come back through chasing after today's mission, or grabbing that next group of crew members that you're after, or playing in ranked, or playing in a competition. This will be stuff that you've earned just by playing the game. And it's... see, Jirai, you're pulling your... No, I'm not... This is not the answer I'm after. Is the cost justified at these high-tier ships? I don't have a concrete answer for you on that. What I'm trying to get across is that you won't notice the pain of having to earn all of these credits, all of that XP, once the game is fully fleshed out, because you will have things to do that are fun, and grinding will not be... It won't feel like grinding. It won't feel like I'm just doing this to do X. It will feel like I'm doing this to do this. And the this in question might be missions, or it might be a tournament, or it might be whatever. What it won't be is I'm going to play public matches 100 times in a row in order to be able to unlock the Leviathan and everything that goes into it. So it's not about the price of the thing so much as the reason that you earn the stuff in the first place. A deeply unsatisfying answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll ask Jim and see if there is a justification behind it other than the maths involved. Should a heavy rocket system cost the same as a whole ship? If this were reality, I would argue possibly not. But in terms of game stickiness and longitude of your game progression, having a fully kitted out tier 7 ship is an achievement in itself. And when we introduce medals, there's likely to be achievements that are tied into that. And therefore, there is a certain amount of hoops to jump through in order to get to that point. I don't have a better answer for you.
All right.
Okay. All right, then. Actually moving on this time to a big bugbear for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people were upset over the recent price increase of credit and XP boosters, which...
Oh, I think you're being generous. Upset?
They were mildly vexed.
People weren't upset. they stood outside the office with pitchforks and torches.
Some people were. Absolutely. And some people are still
every
there.
Right to be.
Yeah. But, to be perfectly frank, making games isn't charity work. It's a business.
No, you defend us.
No.
You attack, I'll defend. All right, just bring it. Come on. In fact, you shut up. Jiraiya has been about as vocal as it's possible to be on the subject, while staying within the rules and the code of conduct. Has voiced his displeasure and his rationale most eloquently. So, Xerid, stop being so pacifist, you big hippie. Hand it over to the big lad in the corner who's going to bring it. Come on, Jiraiya, what do you got?
So, I pulled up, compared to the words are hard.
No,
I pulled up a lot of the free-to-play numbers for premium games, for Heroes of the Storm, League of Legends, World of Tanks, Armored Warfare.
Yep.
To give some numbers out there, League of Legends, their boosters are considered a joke by their community.
Why?
Because they don't give enough. The community feels that they're not worth the value.
Okay.
And their booster lasts, like their smallest one, max length win IP, goes for 2 games, that comes to about $1.23 US currency. World of Tanks premium time comes out to about $1.49 for 24 hours.
Put premium time to one side for the moment. Just think boosters for the moment. We'll talk about premium time in a moment.
Okay. So, at 90 cents for a combined XP and credit booster, just that compared to the League of Legends for 2 wins, and it's not a very good one because comparison because the numbers for the IP boosters are a little weird, but just in terms of cost for a 20-minute match, to double my base earnings is almost $1. That feels awfully steep. And then when we start comparing in, again, premium time in there, the math becomes, frankly, ridiculous.
Okay. What is your question?
Why is it so high?
Why is it so high? Because, and here we go, because that's the number that the maths wizards have decided is the right number. Okay, now, I'll say one more thing, then you can jump back in again. This won't be me going off on a 10-minute ramble to hopefully fox you onto a different subject. But I do try and pull it back to the original subject at the beginning. Right, here we go. Ready? Hold on, what was I going to say? I had something that was quite good there. No, okay, no, this is... So this doesn't only cover boosters, right? This is a pricing question full stop. Boosters, we can elaborate on their value, their intrinsic value in a moment. But this is a full stop pricing question in terms of free-to-play stuff. Is this item that I'm about to buy, be it a skin or a hero or a booster or premium time or a special pink avatar or a thing that gets me access to a tournament or whatever, is this an acceptable price from my perspective? Do I feel like I'm getting bang for my buck? That's the question, right? And that's a question that if you take 100 people and you ask them all, you will get a wide variety of answers. I wouldn't be so stupid as to say that you get 100 different answers, but you'll have multiple different camps. You will have some people who say, like, that price is absolutely fine. I'm okay with paying that. You'll have other people that say, like, well, I don't think you get enough for the price. The price is okay, but what you get in return isn't quite worth it. You'll have other people say, like, I wish I had the cash to buy that. I think the price is great, but I can't afford to pay it. You'll have other people that say, like, this is an unacceptable thing to be charging for no matter what. You'll have others kind of go, like, I don't want that. Therefore, there is no price you could offer at me that I would pay. That's the spectrum of kind of opinion that you're going to get out of it. And what we've got with boosters is we've taken the decision to price them at this point because that's the point that we've decided to price them at. We've taken into consideration other games, and we've talked to other developers with regards to what works for them. We're not trying to be excruciatingly painful in our pricing. We're not trying to extract every last cent from people. This is purely on, there's like a three-dimensional equation that goes into it, and that is, how long do we need people to play the game for? How much do we hope people will pay to play the game during that lifespan? If they decide to unlock a ship directly using platinum rather than time, how does that then stack up? And a whole bunch of other bits and pieces that fit into this equation, and it covers a multitude of different aspects, and the price of an item is just one of them. So when it comes down to it, if you don't think a booster is worth the money, don't buy it. And the end. If somebody else does feel it's worth the money, so be it. The guys with the calculators, they feel like that at the price that we've set it at, enough people will say it is worth the money, I'll have one, to make it justifiable at that price. So here's another way of thinking about it. We don't want everybody to buy boosters, because doing so means they're going to spend less time in the game overall. That's the way the argument goes. We need some people who are going to spend 500 hours in the game, and over that period, they will pay us $10 in total. We'll have others who spend thousands of hours and never pay us a penny. That's fine. But then we'll have some who spend 10 hours in the game and spend $500. We like those guys too. We don't like any one group of players any better than another group of players, as much as we say thank you, possibly a little louder, to the ones who stick their hand in their wallet once in a while. But when it comes down to it, if you decide not to buy boosters, we're okay with that. The difficulty comes if nobody decides to buy boosters. That's the point at which we kind of go, our pricing or what boosters actually do is wrong. Okay, so I have cycled around quite longer than I initially hoped to there, but go back to your question. Make sure that I haven't dragged you off topic, and then feel free to punch.
Well, you listed, talk to 100 people, you get a bunch of different answers.
Yeah.
The thing is, from the responses we've seen with the community on the forums and elsewhere, the response has pretty much been, yes, everyone's going to have a different opinion, but 90-something% of us all say that it's too high. And that gives me pause. That makes me think, at least personally, that my math can't be that far off if I'm looking at it. Being somebody who's dropped hundreds of dollars into the game already, who's bought dozens of boosters before the price increase, and who's looking at the current price thinking, no, I will not buy any of them at this price.
Yep.
That's more confirmation to me that my math is right. That when I'm looking at $3 an hour roughly for a match, it's just about half minimum wage here in the US.
So what you're looking at is the price of boosters for you, right? And the price of boosters for you is higher than is acceptable for you, and fine, good. You've gone to the extent of doing maths on the subject. So much the better. I don't mean this in any kind of a denigrating of your position in the slightest, but the false assumption that you've kind of jumped to is that because the feedback that we've received has been overwhelmingly negative, it means that overwhelmingly people have stopped buying boosters. And based on the numbers, which I can't reveal, that isn't the case. But we've got no... what's the word I'm after here? There's no benefit to me, spinning you a line here, because at the end of the day, this is the bit where we get paid. And so me kind of going, no, it's absolutely fine. As a line of total bollocks, would actually, that doesn't do us any favors, does it? Because either the boosters as they're priced now are serving their purpose on a commercial basis, or they're not. And at the moment, the calculator chaps are telling me they're serving their purpose. Are we selling less of them? Yes, we certainly are. But are they performing as we want them to? Yes, they are. Would we prefer it that more people were buying boosters? That's the complicated answer that I gave you to begin with. That's the three-dimensional puzzle of time plus money investment plus this plus that plus whatever. And that's the point that we're trying to make. Now, let's cycle round to the good news, shall we? There is good news associated with this, and that's premium time. We will be introducing it. My understanding is that it will be a 24-hour offer rather than anything else. And I don't know if that's 24... No, it won't be 24-hour game time. What we're trying to avoid is what other game the developers have done in the past, which is your booster is applied no matter what, right? So if you buy premium time in another game, that also covers the time you're not playing the game. And I'm going to argue vociferously that you buy an hour of premium time or 3 hours of premium time, and if you stop playing during that period, you still have the rest of it left over. I may or may not win that argument, or it may be that the way we set that up is such that it doesn't matter. The value is there immediately. But no, premium time will... I mean, let's use your math, right? Go on. What, based on an hour's worth of play, how much are you paying? $3?
For three
if you were to
boosters,
use boosters.
20-minute average. So that'd be 3 matches in an hour, 90 cents.
Yeah.
So $2.70.
No, let's call it $3, right? So at the moment, if you wanted to play, if you bought an hour of premium time in a booster sense, then that's $3 an hour. And we're going to have a pretty tough time convincing people that that's extraordinary value for money. No, I don't think many people will buy that. So I think that the price point that we offer it at will be such that people will go, okay, that's the price it is, and it's reasonable. So we never want people to kind of go, oh, God, you've priced that too high in terms of boosters or anything else that we offer. But when it comes down to it, the value proposition, which is a horrible phrase that we use here, is one that only you can determine. Only you can decide if that skin is worth that much platinum. Only you can decide whether that booster is giving you enough XP to warrant using it. That's for you to decide. What we have to figure out is the absolute sweet spot where we're selling as many as we need in order to generate the money we need for the studio at the price that makes that work. If we put boosters out there at 1 cent a pop, for example, everybody will buy hundreds of them. And as such, their gameplay experience will do that. And given that there's not a whole lot of reasons to carry on playing the game beyond unlocking stuff at the moment, that our player numbers would do that, and that doesn't work for us. So it's a complicated system to work out, and I don't like focusing on the monetary side of the game anyway, because I believe the game should stand on its own right. I believe that even with a free-to-play game, asking a premium price for it up front should not be seen as unreasonable. We're not doing this, by the way. This is just my personal opinion, is that even with a free-to-play game, if we were to say, we're charging you $49.99 for this game, is that a fair price to ask? Because if you can say, no, it's not a fair price for this particular game, and you kind of go, well, the game's not of a high enough quality level then. So put all other thought of monetization and of DLC, of microtransactions, of all of that rubbish, put it all to one side. When it comes down to it, does the game stand up in its own right? And then in terms of the extras that we sell through the store, only you can decide whether that's worth your investment. So, I mean, you will be the players who are the most affected by this. You and the likes of the people who are watching this vidcast. What do we call this?
I suppose it's a talk show-esque thing.
A talk show-esque. Okay. Most of the people who watch this won't have gone through the price change. Mm-hmm. They will have seen it at the price that it was before, which, let's face it, was pretty cheap. I mean, they were pretty reasonably priced. Mm-hmm. In fact, very reasonably priced. I mean, I think I sunk some of my own cash into it to try and extend my progression, because I haven't got the time to sink hours and hours and hours and hours into the game. I just don't have it. As much as I get to play while I'm at work, I still don't have the time to progress that fast. But yeah, you've seen the price transition, and it's hurt you harder than it will do someone who joins the game in 6 months' time, goes, that's the price of a booster. Because they will then make the decision whether to buy one or not based on a straightforward cold read of, this gets me that, is it worth it? And because you've seen the good old days of them being relatively inexpensive, the sudden leap in price has made you kind of go, hey, hold on. And obviously you're not alone. You know, plenty of people have had the same response to it. And I don't like it because, you know, I'm the one that gets to gather all of that happy feedback and pass it on to people. But when it comes down to it, that's the decision that's been made.
So with progression, with the booster change, you also mentioned buying the ships outright. It used to be that it was roughly equivalent in platinum, assuming you were popping boosters on matches where you earned the average XP. It used to be about the same to buy a ship outright as it was to use boosters. Mm-hmm. Now with the change, it's about 2/3 to the price to buy it outright for credits than it is to expend the same amount of platinum in boosters. Or I guess I was saying that wrong. But it's significantly cheaper.
No, I'm with you.
Platinum to buy it outright. Was that intended, or is that just
no? When you see one price move and the other one doesn't, it usually means that one of those prices was wrong. It's like I've been having a discussion with the guys that look after the store and saying, like, we should offer people the ability to buy any ship completely outright at any point. Because I look at myself as a player, right? And this is something that when I train, and I've trained all manner of developers and community managers and marketing people and all sorts on understanding players. And the first thing I say is, you are player one, right? Look at yourself and your own take on, if I was a player of this game, what would I find acceptable? And then I'm going to go off on a brief segue here, but I'll bring it back, I promise. And then from there, you kind of go, right, am I a typical player of this game? If not, who is the typical player? And then work out the steps that take me from that to be a typical player, and you can extrapolate the opinion thereon. Right, now, me as a player of this game, I am, compared to most of the people that would play a free-to-play game, I am time poor and cash rich. That doesn't mean that I'm driving a Ferrari or anything like that. It just means that for me, I've got the cash to sink into a free-to-play game without really worrying about it too much, but I don't have the time to sink into one. So the number of games that I have in my Steam library with over 10 hours on, you can count on one hand, but I've got over 200 games in my Steam library. That's the kind of player I am, is that I've got no time to play. I want to play a lot. I just don't have the time to do it. But I do have the cash to go out and get new game experiences. So for me, as a player of a free-to-play game, let me buy a ship immediately. Let me go out and buy the Watchman just from the get-go. Because I will never, as a player, were I a regular player of the game, I would never unlock it. I'd never get to that point. But why would we not let a fine, upstanding individual such as myself get my credit card out and buy the thing straight away? Now, given that all the ships are equal, I'm going to do with air quotes, equal, right? Because we know there's some balancing stuff that needs dealing with and will continue to be needing to be dealt with until the end of time. But on the principle that all ships are equal, I can buy any ship and have no advantage over anybody else other than I haven't had to spend a hell of a lot of time to get it. And the benefit that the people who have sunk the time in to get is they've got some hapless idiot who's just bought the thing but doesn't know what he's doing with it because hasn't got that depth of game experience that brings the level of expertise that you would want to see from an experienced player. So that brings up, well, how much should you charge for a ship if you were paying for it outright? And this is where I'm coming back to your question. And the price you should charge for it is, well, if they were to boost the entire distance up to that ship, it should cost that much, if not more, to buy it. And the issue that we're kind of faced with on that front is, well, in which case that ship should cost between $40 and $50. And you kind of go, well, that's a very large amount of money for a ship, isn't it? That's the point at which me, time poor, cash rich, just kind of goes, no.
Yeah.
I think I'll go buy XCOM 2. And that's the balancing act that we'd need to do if you could completely skip the have to play the games and just unlock the ship. As it is, being able to pay for the ship with platinum rather than credits, it is calculated off the credit booster cost, and there is supposed to be parity between the two. And doubtless, off your maths, that you've proved that there isn't parity at the moment. I know that the idea is that there's parity between the two. So if you were to boost your way there, it would cost you pretty much the same as if you buy it outright once you get there, obviously having sunk the XP in as well. So XP boosters put to one side, this is just credit boosters. And if it's not there at the moment, then I'll go downstairs and start throwing things at people. And I don't doubt that it's not perfectly balanced. But then what in the game is perfectly balanced at the moment? So, what's an answer that works? It feels like there needs to be kind of a summarizing answer to that. Parity is what we're aiming for. If parity doesn't exist at the moment, we more than likely know about it, but I'm not hearing any rumbles from the guys that actually make those decisions on we need to switch this because that. Mm-hmm. And they tell me quite quickly because they like being able to tell me this kind of stuff, because I've said, look, if we've got bad news to deliver, and let's face it, the upping of the price of boosters wasn't good news in terms of making players happy. I want that information as fast as possible, because that way I can put that information out at a time that allows people to make educated decisions on what they do now. It's like when we changed the booster price, I wanted to make sure I had as much time as possible for people to either hoard boosters or come to terms with the change in the price. And when it came round to it, I didn't get anywhere near as much time as I was after. So I've made it very clear, if we're mucking around with the price of things for platinum, they are to let me know so that I can let you know.
Mm-hmm. As an aside with the boosters,
was that okay? Was that close enough to an answer?
Yeah, you got it. I noticed with the patch, we got a whole bunch of boosters.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
I don't know. That was a surprise to me. I don't know what happened there. I did ask, and apparently it was deliberate. So enjoy.
Okay.
As it turns out, let's do a little bit of kind of retrospective history, shall we? So we gave you those boosters knowing the whole thing was going to break. So we've basically said, sorry, we broke the game just before we broke the game. I'm making that up. Normally, I would say, oh, no, we forgot to untick a box that did something. But no, apparently it was entirely deliberate. I'm not entirely sure what the reason was. So there you go. Enjoy. Oh, I know what it is. It's because we mucked around with the founder packs. So if you've got a founder pack, you've likely got rewarded. Mm-hmm. And it's not because we're now sticking more stuff in. We're sticking less, or are we? I don't know. Founder packs confuse the hell out of everybody, including me. I think there's one guy in the studio who completely understands the founder packs. The reason they confound people on the forums is because it's listed under DLC, and the founder packs aren't DLC. Effectively, the founder packs are the equivalent of your Kickstarter backing options. Mm-hmm. So if you buy number 3, you've got everything from the previous two. People go, I tried to buy all 3 of the founder packs, and we're going to go, nice. They kind of go, you only need one of them, and you get everything. So it confuses the heck out of people. And there are a couple of folks who are still missing Niso skins. Get in touch with the support team, we'll fix you up. That was because we mucked around with a Niso skin bundle during the January transition stuff, and some people got a little bit lost in the it's our fault, but we'll sort them out. So if you're missing Destroyer, Disruptor, and what was the other one? Anyone?
It was the
Ghost.
No, the Colossus.
Could be the Colossus. Anyway, if you're missing those, contact support. Tell them I sent you.
All right.
Excellent.
I'm just throwing a little bit of public service messaging in there as well. But all right, all right, here you go. So at the end of the early access period, everything that's in the founder packs right now disappears forever. If you've bought it, you've got it. That doesn't disappear, but no one else will ever be able to get any of that stuff, and we'll be replacing the founder packs with starter packs. Catchier title pending. And they will have a whole different slew of stuff in there. So all the stuff in the founder packs right now are exclusive to the early access period.
So if you like it, you should put a ring on it.
If you do, yes.
So will there be stuff in the starter packs? I assume that for the people who bought the founders will probably want to pick those up too.
There won't be crossover, let's put it that way. So you won't be gypped if you've bought a founder pack previously and you decide this starter pack looks pretty decent, but I've already got 25% of it. There won't be any crossover between the two. So if you feel like putting a bigger ring on it when the starter packs turn up, you're more than welcome to do so, and you won't be hosed by following through on that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's as much detail on those as I've got at the moment because we're a ways from starter packs being introduced.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where to next, gentlemen?
I think that's actually got the ones I had planned already.
I've got one.
Oh no! Hold on. Right. Okay. So premium time. We're doing premium time. Now. I'm going to allude to something that is not yet fully fleshed out, right? So that's crew collection. Mm-hmm. Now, crew collection will work as part of a bonus system. So there will be various bonuses. You've seen this happen in free-to-play stuff before, I'm sure, where you log in, you get a bonus thing. You finish your game, you get a bonus thing. Crew will happen through this bonus thing. Obviously, much catchier title pending than bonus thing. Mm-hmm. And crew takes on a completely different format now. We've gone through about 5 different iterations of how it's going to work, and I think we've settled on you unlock a crew member. Jamie might hit me with an axe at any moment, just so you know. If I disappear, it's because Jamie's lamped me. But But this ties into the conversation that we're having. So this is more stuff that you can buy, but again, it's avoiding the three letters that we don't talk about. We don't talk about pay to win, right? And it's not. You can't win by paying money. You can only win by playing well. But yeah, you evolve your crew members now with specific stats that grow over time, and you get through these bonus thingies the ability to grow those individual crew members, enhance them. Jesus, I should stop talking because frankly, I'm doing a really bad job of explaining it. It's kind of cool, and you'll get packs of these deals in, given to you for logging in, given to you for finishing a match, all sorts of stuff. But also, you'll be able to buy packs of those guys as well. So that plus bonus time, plus legendary ships, you'll be able to buy outright. What else? I'm talking about having a buy-in tournament system, so you cough up 100 platinum or some nominal amount to get in the door, and then the prize pool for that is made up of 100% of that platinum, which is then distributed to players. So that's not a cash grab on our part. So I'm talking about this in the sense of what other platinum uses are there coming in. Much of this is kind of speculative, but I think the assumption, actually, this comes out of your boosters post that you made, Jiraiya, and that is that if we're hanging all of our kind of financial security off the sale of boosters and off skins alone, it's not going to work. We agree with you. And this is where that statement that I said I was going to repeat comes in. You're looking at an incomplete picture. So the picture that we have right now is you're either buying boosters, or you're unlocking ships, or you're buying skins. The end. That's it. No, there's way more to it than that. And obviously, if we don't end up with, I mean, where are we at the moment? Like 200, 300 players in the game at once, then it doesn't matter what we do unless we start charging people 1,000 platinum a game. There's no way the studio survives on that. But we've plenty of evidence to say that our numbers will be higher than that. Our challenge is simply making sure that the game is right to maintain that number of players, and to hopefully have a player growth curve that goes like this over time. And providing the numbers that they bring in are sufficient, then we're all rosy. But we're not hanging it off selling boosters that you two chaps find outside the range of acceptable pricing. And we're not hanging it off just selling ship skins, and we're not hanging it off just selling ships, because after all, once you've got all the ship skins, you're not going to give us any more money for ship skins. And once you've unlocked all the ships, you're not going to give us any more money for ships or boosters. So there has to be some other stuff in there into that mix as well. So that if you're playing the game still 5 years from now, we have the opportunity to present you with something that you might feel tempted to buy. So there is a bigger picture to come.
I want to go back to the crew. You said that they're...
Don't go too far down with that one. I don't have enough of the details, but go on, fire away.
That they're going to grow? Is that going to be like the actual
the
bonus
idea
they're
is
giving?
the bonus changes over time, but the bonus is, I might be talking off the last version, but the idea was that you could have what's her name, Dice Kaplan, whatever her name is. You could have her with a 5% capture rate bonus. But then the following day, you could get her with a 5% speed rate bonus, or you could get her with a 5% heal rate bonus. And you choose which one you use at a given time. And you grow them by sticking the other dice clones that you've got into some kind of human liquidizer, out of the bottom of which you might be able to change that 5% into a 6%. Does that make sense? That was the last version we were talking about.
Yeah, you're
No, wait. No. Jiraiya's got calculation and judgment face on. Stop it. We're not ready to talk about it yet. I wanted to hint at what was coming, but the information I'm giving you is flimsy at best. So reserve judgment until we spec it out in full. Because you're about to go,
I'll try.
well, hold on,
yeah.
I could buy 100,000 of those cards and make myself the best Dice Kaplan. That's not even a name. It's not Dice, is it?
It is Dice.
Is it really?
It is Dice Kaplan, yes.
Who the hell named a Dice Kaplan? Anyway,
One of the art guys, I'm sure.
yeah, there isn't a way that I could spend 10 grand on the game and immediately make my crew all superheroes. That's not what. That's not the outcome. So wait for more details, but it is something like that. I heard Jamie muttering something about DNA yesterday, so I don't know. But I just wanted to allude to the fact that is another platinum system that we're bringing in that hopefully gives people well, look, I've got some platinum that came with this starter pack. And that's another thing to consider, is it's not about sinking more cash into the game. It's what about the people who have bought a Vanguard and have found themselves with 1,000 platinum sat in their account, and they kind of go, well, I don't think those boosters are worth it. None of these skins really appeal to me. I've got this mythical amount of cash just sat here. What am I supposed to do with it? And we want to make sure that there's always plenty of options to do with it.
Actually, going off of that, a big bugbear for me personally in free-to-play games with their own kind of hard currency, riot points or
I know where you're going.
Yep, pennies.
Yep.
I've talked about it before. They make me angry. I've got 35 riot points sitting in my League of Legends account. Have for years.
I don't doubt it. I imagine you've got all manners of chump change of virtual currencies kicking around all over the place.
And I would like to be able to do something with that.
So would I. So let's be honest about this. What we're not going to do is make it so that you buy 1,000 platinum, and lo and behold, there's a thing you can buy for 1,000 platinum. There are many good reasons, none of them friendly, why nobody wants to do that. And we're no different. As much as we try to be a happy, friendly, caring, come and hug us kind of a studio, there is. I mean, you only need to go Google the subject, and you'll see there is a huge difference between the people that sell at price and the people that don't. So the people that leave you with some change left over afterwards. But what I would like to be able to do is do the equivalent of a Dota compendium where it's contribution based. So rather than giving you something to spend your change on, there could be effectively a tip bucket, right? Where if the compendium passes X, every player who chipped in gets this amount of stuff. So it's not about it's less about you're using up every last split of platinum that you've got on a single thing, more that you'll be able to use it all up. That's what I would like to see, and it's possibly going to come to a bare-chested throwdown in the middle of the office between me and the calculator boys to try and get that through. I as dismissive of them as I am and their dark arts, they're the guys that keep the lights on. So, I soft soap their approach a little, but when it comes down to it, they play as important a role in the development of this game as Ginger Gladiator does, or as Volks does, or as anybody else that's a part of the team. They're fundamental to the long-term survival of the game. So we, as much as the subject can be a little bit tricky to talk about, because talking about charging for stuff is never fun, it's a necessity of the development of the game. And hopefully we get the balance right. For every booster that you feel is not worth it, or too expensive, or whatever else, that we offer something else that delights. And that's the challenge that we have, is we have to balance the don't like with the do like, from a player perspective.
The boosters and the Akula.
There we
Don't
go.
like and the like.
Yeah.
Except the Akula, I understand, is not exactly working at the moment.
It is
Isn't it a
not.
bit busted right now?
It has no main weapon, so everything is shifted over, and your screen is on mouse 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that, and that's being worked on. But I'll double check when I'm done here, just to be on the safe side, because the Akula's too damn cool not to be used regularly.
I want to see it as its own line, right?
Yeah,
I-
I
Do you want some
actually ran
Akula
into
line?
that.
I
Yes.
I would like to see an entire like sub-manufacturer like the Akula company, and we're going to have an Akula Raider and an Akula Hunter and an Akula Brawler. I might be compelled to throw my wallet at people. I'm
Like
just
an
saying.
aftermarket designer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. Yeah. So like a tuning company, something like that.
Exactly.
That you take your Zarek ship to, and they go pimp your ride for you.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll pass that on.
Yeah, that is. That'll be devastating to my bank account.
All right, come on. What else you got, boys? Come on. Time is money, as they say.
We've been at it for an hour, which is
We're,
a little longer than we intended.
Yeah,
You've got another 7 minutes of my time before I have to go do the next thing. What do you want from me? What else can I offer you?
Wiki. Where's the wiki?
Where's the wiki? It's up. You can't see it. It's up because we haven't put any pages in it yet. Professor Chaos is leading the charge on that and becoming a wiki expert in the process, allegedly. But more than that, if you've not seen already, visit the website. I mean, they've been up for a month or more now, but the new ship pages we did for the starter ships is what we want to replicate for all the ships now. So it includes much more information about weapon ranges. Do not tell me they're wrong. We know they're right. If they say something else in the game, then the game's flipping wrong. We got that right from the back end. But we want to replicate that for all the ships. So it's almost like, because I want to wiki up and I want people to be able to contribute to it from the community, because you guys will always do a better job of it than we do. Because let's say that, my job is to understand the game in full, and I go out and I understand the game in full. Which bits of the game do I care about most? Well, maybe that bit, and maybe this bit, and that bit over there. Which bit does Xerid like most? So he likes a completely different bit, that one. And as such, he will drill down into that area of the game and understand because it's not just the raw data, it's the nuances that come with it. It's the combinations that come with it and the way that it interacts with everything else that is the important bit. So the community are always going to do 1,000 times better a job at populating a wiki than we will, but we have to get it started. We can't just kind of go, fellas, wiki it. No, we have to make a start point on that, not least of all in getting the format tasteful. The existing wiki that's out there right now, as neglected as it is, I've never touched it, but it's also covered in flaming ads, and ain't nobody got time for that. So there you go. That's butchering a phrase. I wanted to present one that was ad-free, that we would take responsibility for to an extent, but offered the very best that we could get from the community in the process. We'll get there. But one thing that we are doing that you should expect in the next, I'd like to say 2 months, is we're totally demolishing the website. And we're going brand new website with new forums, with a proper support area, with what else we've got built into there? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff. So instead of support being a nebulous email address that you send stuff to and then hope someone answers, we'll have a proper support system built in. So think about it in these terms, right? The way that I do kind of the flow of information, right, is it's a pyramid. It looks like that. Now, the pointy end of the pyramid is the stuff that appeals to, it's like an inverted pyramid. Let's spin it the other way up, right? Most of the players of the game are interested in the big, broad, flat base. In fact, you can spin it either way up. Let's put it back this way. You can see the pyramid as I'm describing it. They're interested in the big, broad, flat base. What is this game? What are the names of the ships? Show me them looking pretty. Have you got some video? Where can I get the game? The big dumb, basic, solid information. More people are going to be interested in that than anything else we ever talk about. It's why you do trailers. You know, show me things with things blowing up. Appeals to a large number of people. Beyond that, you start to get into, well, okay, what are the situations you might use this ship in? Teach me how to play the game. What's the best way to play this mode? What's the weapon ranges on things? And then more nuanced than that is talk to me about clans. Talk to me about the next tournament you've got coming up. Or I might go and post on the forums. As you go up towards the point, the number of people you're engaging with gets fewer and fewer and fewer, and those people become more and more hardcore all along the way. And what we're trying to deliver so my top priority is hitting the base. My second priority is the next layer. But I want to try and keep everybody happy all the way up to the hardcore point of the pyramid. And as we go through the process of finishing the game, there'll be odds and sods in terms of fleshing out information all around the pyramid, but the whole thing will never actually be complete. We should have a solid base by the time we leave early access, and we should be reasonably well percolated up throughout the rest of that kind of information diagram, as it were. But if we don't communicate to a huge number of people, we don't get them to play the game. If we don't communicate to the ultra hardcore, they'll go do that information for themselves. They'll just kind of go, the devs aren't giving it to us, we'll do it. And I don't want that. I want it to be a hand-in-hand partnership kind of a dealio. But when it comes down to it, you're going to provide better information than I ever will. At which point my role should switch to being a facilitator of that information while putting out broad spectrum stuff on what's coming up new, while, let's say, Jiraiya, you're king of the wiki, that you're chief editor, that you say, like, look, we need the armor values for X, Y, and Z on the Gladiator, because clearly what you've published isn't right. And I go, all right, I'll go fish those out for you. So I go fish them out, give them to you. You kind of go, see, told you, you put them out wrong. I will update the wiki accordingly. Do so with your ship page as well, my good man. And I'll go do just that. So it's the whole thing is it's a process that is going to likely land as sporadic lumps from time to time, and then hopefully over time, as features and systems and ships and balancing firm up, that rather than rip one bit out and replace it with a new bit because that's no longer relevant, we actually start to actually build up the kind of the volume of information we need. I'm all about the hand gestures, me.
Mm-hmm. So what is the Gladiator armor values?
I've told you. You PM'd me and I sent you an answer. In fact, I'd forgotten I'd sent you an answer. Because I didn't. I sent it to you by Steam. You asked me, I sent you the answer by Steam, and then I couldn't remember if I'd sent you the answer, so I PM'd you to say, did I send you the answer? And you said, yes, you did. And I went, oh, okay. So there you go.
Did you? Well,
yeah, there are no. See, look, that's a conversation that's just going to keep on going.
Then you mentioned something earlier about more streaming activity. I'm obviously directly interested in this. Is there anything else you can tell us about that?
What are the things I want to talk about now? Well, okay, firstly, more. We're going to do more of it, more days of the week, because it's a really good way for people to get direct answers from us. Mm-hmm. It allows us to part of the kind of open development ethos is that the development team gets to appear more human. Well, you don't get to appear much more human if you're doing something live where people can interact with you directly. Mm-hmm. So I've been asked by my boss to up our amount of Twitcheroo and Hitbox and YouTube. And if you've tuned in for the last couple of weeks, you'll have seen that we've been starting to test stream to all three at the same time. I want to do dedicated streams to each one because it feels like we're splitting our ability to feed back quite so well. But We're setting up dedicated shows with a purpose, with a point to them. Some of them are strange. What I thought of them. So yeah, there are some strange ideas in there. Until you've done Home Shopping the Fractured Space way, you haven't lived. I'm really looking forward to it. If everybody hates it, we'll stop doing it. But we're going to try it. The one I will tell you is what I want to get introduced as soon as possible is what we're calling the emergency broadcast system. Basically, every time the game goes down, whether it's scheduled, whether it's an update, whether it's a hotfix, we will be live online with CNN, BBC style news ticker along the bottom with all the latest update. And if that means that we end up streaming for 9 hours straight because the game is down for that long, so be it. And the reason for doing that is, if you go to the Steam forum when the game's down, the top post that isn't a sticky post will be, "Is the game down?" And someone will go, "Yeah." Read the sticky post. 5 minutes passes. Another thread starts up. "I can't log into the game." Read the sticky post. So we want to kind of train users to hit us up on Twitch, where we can kind of go, "The game is down." "Yes, it is. This is the emergency broadcast system." And throw in basically impromptu Q&A while letting people know what's going on, while showing a friendly face while it's all busted. That's, and if that means that it's 3 people at 4 o'clock in the morning, then, well, firstly, I don't know how I'm going to make that work. But secondly, that's what I'd quite like to do. So that's one of, I think we've got 18 different ideas that we'll try out. I know. The last thing you want to do is go, "We need some ideas to do," at which point I'm off and running. But, we're going to be televising Fight Club. Are you both signed up to Fight Club? I should hope so. Jiraiya, you are nodding only slightly. You better be
I did. I've been busy.
Yes.
Because there's a 1v1 me, bro, situation that's coming your way, sunshine. Not as much.
All right, I'll get the ghost.
I'm really looking forward to my 1v1 versus Lone Ranger, because I've got a plan. And it's going to drive me nuts to the point I'm going to ban him. You, Lone Ranger, I'm coming for you. Yes. So we've got lots of ideas along that side. We should be rolling those out within the next 2 weeks. All being well, we're waiting for a USB cable. But as you can see, I don't know if you can appreciate this or not, but we've got a brand new high definition-y webcam from the fine people at Logitech, and it's much better than the old one that we were using. But no, we're working on improving it, and it's going to be a combination of fun and so entertainment and information and education are the three tenets by which we will thrive. So if you find something entertaining, it's done its job. If you found you learned something by doing it, it's done its job. So there you go. Watch this space. You'll be seeing a lot of Killer Pigeon, that's for sure.
I personally am very much looking forward to this.
Uncle Protagonist's phone-in show. I'm sure you'll be a regular.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see how that pans out. Some kind of time delay for bleeping may possibly be necessary, and I don't mean about the callers. Okay, good. Yeah. Right, have you got any more serious questions? Because we feel like we're circling the.
I think we've covered everything that we set out to grill you with.
Yeah, and I appreciate that what you were after is I think you'll find that X times 2 plus Y equals Z. That's not the way. I mean, when it comes to questions of a commercial nature. Because we have investors, we have to be a little cagey on it. because it's business sensitive information, and therefore we have to dance around it a little bit. But hopefully, I've given some insight into the why. And in answer to the question that I think you asked originally in one of your posts, is we are comfortable with the number of boosters we're selling following the change in price.
Okay.
All right, that's the most I can say. I can't say it's dropped by X or we've sold Y or anything like that. All I can say is we're comfortable with the change in sales volume.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Anytime.
And taking us on this wonderful information journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will see you all next time. Bye.
Cheerio.